All right, we are live. It is Parx Sportsbook presents the Odd G's podcast, episode 7. That's Harry Mays. I'm Jason Myrtetus. Back at it once again. What's going on, Harry?
Well, super wild card weekend is gone now, and I tell you, it sucked. I thought the NFL really disappointed me this weekend, as many people that listen to this and you and me both were looking very forward to it. I thought a lot of the games were really non-competitive and really not that interesting. So I'm kind of glad that the riffraff of the NFL, including our Philadelphia Eagles, are out of the way so we can get down to some good football this weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
So you didn't think there was a whole lot compelling about the week? I mean, the Dallas game was compelling.
That was one. Yeah, that was one. Yeah, and I was on the Niners, as I gave out on last week's Odd G's. I was all over San Francisco. And the other game that was good or decent was the Raiders and the Bengals. Came down to the final couple of seconds, and the Raiders ended up throwing a pick on fourth down. But other than that, those other 4 games were not competitive. A couple of the teams, including the Eagles and the Cardinals, and just didn't look like they belonged in the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers, we knew, really weren't a playoff team. It was more or less just like Ben Roethlisberger's final swan song, but they had nothing. And what was the other game that I'm free? Oh, yeah, the New England Patriots, with a rookie quarterback, looked totally overmatched on the road against a division rival. The offense was anemic, and the defense couldn't stop Buffalo. I mean, they scored on their first 7 possessions, I think. So I was bitterly disappointed by the whole thing. Maybe I thought the bar was I set the bar a little too high. Maybe that's my fault.
Well, there's a tipping point for everything, right? And is it too many teams in the playoffs now?
Well, yes, there are, because it typically boils down to there's like 3 teams in each conference that are really capable of winning a Super Bowl when you really get down to the playoffs. The rest of it is just for games and, give teams and their fan bases, the right to say, hey, we made the playoffs. But in reality, how many teams really have a chance of winning it? But it's football, and we'll take the games, and I will watch it, and I will complain about it if it's not competitive. But next year I'll be signing right up. Even if they added it to 8 teams, I'd be sitting here saying, hey, I can't wait to watch it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, the ratings just came out for 2021, and once again, the NFL just absolutely blistered everybody again in the ratings. I think 48 of the top 50 shows in 2021 were football.
Yeah.
They rose 10% in 2021, notching the best results in 6 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. It really is. And I know gambling, now that it's more proliferated throughout the country and legalized, might have added a lot to that, because now people can sit there and throw $20 on a team on a Saturday night game when it's cold in your home environment. You got nothing else to do. Hey, let's throw $20 on and watch the Bills. And it's I don't really care about the Bills. I don't live in Buffalo, but I got nothing to do, and let's see if they can cover the spread. And that's just going to grow and grow and grow.
Well, I mean, this year it was interesting too, because 64% of the games this year, were within 1 score in the fourth quarter.
Now, 64% of the games in the regular season?
Yeah, in 2021.
Oh, wow.
In 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know if you watch the Red Zone, and I know you do, as do I, I'll have the Eagles. If they play at 1 o'clock, I'll have the Eagles on the big TV, and then the Red Zone on the little TV underneath. And then let's say the Eagles game gets over, I'm all Red Zone from that witching hour, which Scott Hansen has dubbed it the witching hour, where wins become losses and losses become wins between 3:30 and 4:15 on a Sunday afternoon. And it quite often becomes that game. The games get absolutely crazy, even though a team might have been getting beaten by 3 touchdowns throughout the 3 quarters. All of a sudden, the fourth quarter, everything goes haywire, and it's great drama.
Yeah. But can you imagine this, though? On Thanksgiving, the game between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys averaged 40.8 million viewers.
Yeah, and I think
it's the most watched game in 31 years.
Is that right? And I think there was 41 million penalties in that game, if I recall that game. It was awful. Absolutely atrocious. The Raiders, I think, beat Dallas that day on the road, and there was just penalty after penalty after penalty in that game.
Monday Night Football averaged 14.2 million viewers, up 16% over the year prior.
Wow.
Thursday night games, which were Fox and NFL Network, also streamed by Amazon Prime, 16.4 million viewers. And you're talking about fractured audience, too, with multiple outlets.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And now I wonder if they put that Manning cast in there, too. I know they only did maybe 10 games throughout the season, and I think they did 9 in the regular season, and they did the playoff game last night. But I mean, I watched that a bunch of times during the season.
What'd you think of it?
I didn't really tune in last night much. I ducked
just in general.
In general, I liked it. Last night, I didn't need it because it was a playoff game. I don't really need a whole lot of extra outside fluff with, I don't need The Rock on during a playoff game, so I just went with the regular broadcast last night. But there was a bunch of games that really didn't sort of pique my interest during the regular season as far as a matchup goes. But I found myself watching, Peyton and Eli and their various guests, and I was entertained.
Yeah, see, it was odd because sometimes that became the bigger story, was what happened on the Manning cast during the game. It's interesting because I go, well, what's the need for that? Why are people more intrigued by that than just the game? They're more interested in the commentary and the things that can happen in a very loose format with those two guys who are great. You wouldn't think Eli would have been great at that.
No.
And maybe that's a byproduct of just being with Peyton, but I think he's actually pretty good too.
Yeah, I do too.
Are we moving in that direction where we may see that with more sports? And just a team, two guys or a couple of people watching a game and just shooting the shit. I like it.
I actually thought that was, I'm not saying I thought of the idea, but I thought of that with other sports, like, doing it with like the PGA Tour, doing it with baseball, which can be a real drag to watch. If you're just listening to the regular call, but I'm just saying, like, you put a couple of interesting people in, and that's what you got to have. You got to have some interesting people that are going to have interesting observations of what we're used to seeing, and make it somewhat like, hey, that was pretty cool what he just said, or I never looked at the game that way, that kind of thing. And I think Peyton does that, and I thought Eli got better as the season went along.
Yeah, he got more comfortable. The thing is, it can't be scripted.
No,
it has to be a bit irreverent. It's got to be fun. And, the thing that maybe this is a byproduct of the pandemic too, where, a lot of people, we weren't getting out to bars, certainly this year more than the year prior, but it was the virtual shoot the shit session, watching a game. Cause that's what we did at the bar, right? You go to the bar, you're not listening to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman break down every play. You're breaking it down with your buddies and shooting the shit and talking about the hot broad sitting across in the corner, all that crap. Yeah, that's what it needs to be more like.
Can we say broad anymore?
I just did.
Okay, all right, good. I just want to know where we are. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like you weren't even listening to the broadcast. A lot of times maybe the volume wasn't even up if you're sitting in a tavern, but you're doing the play-by-play yourself and bitching and moaning about, why they called that play, or why doesn't your team run that kind of, all that kind of stuff is in addition to what you're watching. And I think you can, we can multitask, greatly now, and you can watch a game and still talk about stuff with your friends and still pay attention. You don't really need the play-by-play and the strict, straight color analysis now, right? We've seen enough of the sports where we can kind of get by without some of that, right?
Yeah, I could see, like, we're trying to get Baldy on. We're going to get Baldy on eventually once his schedule
he's impossible. He's impossible.
I mean, it's insane, and he's a great analyst in the structured sense. But Baldy would be even better, Har, in a Baldy cast, or like the meat locker watching the game.
Absolutely. Think about you bring it from Shea Baldy over there in South Jersey. And he's out at his pool, and he's got the game on the big screen. And he's in his beach trunks. Of course, he's got shirtless.
Yeah.
He's got the bandana on. He's drinking whatever it is, the flavor of the day. And he's giving you the analysis on, how they're double teaming this defensive tackle who's in a 3 technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you get all Baldy. You'd go all Baldy. Oh, Baldy.
Yeah. I mean, could you see like Baldy, Jaws, and Anthony doing and Vi with doing the haka, the halftime haka? And those guys doing a meat locker commentary during the, like, if I was like NBC Sports Philly, I would book that show.
I know.
If you could do it,
I
because they
think
don't
we
have the
just gave
rights.
him a great idea, and we're not going to get anything out of it.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We tee people up to make money, but we don't
Right.
get it.
Yes. I've been doing it all my life. How about you and me do it for the Flyers broadcast, which I don't know. Is anybody tuning into that right now with the way that team is playing?
Well, it's tough sledding right now.
Jesus.
8 in a row.
8 in a
They already
row.
lost. They already went through a 10-game winless skid. Now they're riding an 8-game winless skid. And I mean, we're not even at the midway point. I'm trying to find a team that has 2 10-game losing streaks in the first half of a season.
Well, that's like a job for the Elias Sports Bureau.
Exactly,
you need to send them a tweet or something, because that's an interesting. I was thinking that very same thing. Like that's almost impossible to do in the first half of a season.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you could get another one in the second half at the rate they're going.
Jeez.
I mean, they're going to sell pieces off too. It's bananas, right?
Would they be able to lose enough to move into the top 2 or 3 in the draft?
Well, it's going to be the lottery. No? It's the lottery.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But if you, I mean, they're not far off that, Har, because, and where they headed is the other part of it. You know, right now I think they have the 7th worst record in the NHL. And the 7th worst record in the team with the worst. See, it's hard to judge because some teams have played 31 games, like the Islanders, and the Flyers have played 38 games.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're in the bottom part. And right now I think they have like a 7% and change opportunity to land the number 1 pick. Yeah, 7.6% to get the number 1 pick, 7.9 right now to land the number 2 pick. But the worst team, Montreal, has a 25.7 chance to win the number 1 pick, 18 for the second and 55% for the third.
Man.
There's been some lottery reform there too, where you can only move up 10 spots. So if you're 13th, you can't move up to 1. You can move up to 3.
I mean, is there a clear-cut superstar that's available this year, or 2 guys at the top that would be kind of worth maybe, trashing the rest of the season for?
Well, I don't even know that you got to try and trash it in their situation, but the number 1 consensus guy is a guy named Shane Wright. I mean, obviously he's a worthy number 1 overall pick, but he's not a generational McDavid, that type of player.
Right.
There is the year after in 23, there's a kid, Connor Bedard, and Bedard got exceptional status to play major junior as a 16-year-old. And the last player to get that status is Connor McDavid.
Oh.
So I'm not saying he's McDavid, but he's looked at as a generational talent, like McDavid, like Matthews, one of those guys.
Wow.
It's not sometimes that you stink; it's when you stink.
Right.
Right.
Just like it's not necessarily who you play, but when you play them. Like with the NFL. With the Eagles got the benefit a lot of that down the stretch in their schedule. So, like with the question, if you're going to say like, what's the question with the Flyers in 2022?
Storyline?
Yeah. What's the storyline? Does it revolve around the El Capitan or the coach?
It's all of the above, and organizational structure. I think is the 3. That's ABC, and the answer is D, all of the above. I mean, the captain, I think, is going to waive the no move clause.
You think so?
He'll be moved at the deadline to a cup contender for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that. He hasn't told me that.
Right.
But I think that he will. And he'll be a free agent in the offseason. I don't think he resigns here. I think once you leave somewhere, and especially the situation after so many years here, it's liberating to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And just play hockey and not
especially if you can win something.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to re-sign with the team that you get traded to. Just go somewhere else. And it depends. If you win the cup, then maybe that opens up different doors of where you want to go.
Right.
And there's always this assumption that he wants to go back and play in Ottawa because that's where he's from. But I think that's bullshit. I don't think professional athletes want to go play where they're from.
I know that's one of those lazy narratives that us in the business and the journalists and so forth, the people that cover these teams always come up with these, and they connect to the usual dots. And I don't think that happens near as much today as it might have happened 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy I can think of recently that's a high profile was Tavares when he re-signed in Toronto, and they put a picture of it his bedding and pajamas, the Leaf pajamas. But like Briere didn't want to go and play for Montreal. The Cavalier didn't. You look at a lot of these guys, Mike Trout, there was this assumption that he was going to play out his contract and then come home so he could go to Eagles games and Sixers games. He re-signed out there. He's like, I want separation of church and state. Gaudreau, same thing, right? Johnny Hockey.
Right.
I don't think he wants to come here.
Yeah. I would want to experience something else too. And, you become a different person.
Yeah.
You're in your mid-30s or whatever. You've experienced so much more in life. There's more to life than just going back home.
Well, you go back home and it's separate. You don't taint your legacy at home if you don't succeed.
Yeah, right.
So you can always go back there and you're a hero no matter what. But if you go there and play and you fail, then you're an asshole.
That's right. But if you never go back there, it's always like, man, I wish we had a chance to sign you. You would have been great here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's sad.
Yeah. And that's the story of when you're signing autographs at an alumni thing at a bar. You tell the people, right? Oh, I wanted to get back there.
Yeah, I wanted. It was close. There was a chance.
Yeah, bullshit. Let's tell people real quick. We got a lot to get into about Parx and Sportsbook, and you gave out that winner with San Francisco last week. Do you have any games that you like on the Parx Sportsbook app this week in the NFL card, Harry?
Yeah, I'm looking at this Cincinnati, Tennessee game. Call me crazy. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment with this Joe Burrow, but he's becoming a big man crush for me. My other man crush or crushes have now, they're about at retirement age. So I need a new one. And I think it's Joe Burrow. And I'm going to take +3.5 with the Bengals on the road. I may look at the money line too, because I think they can win this game. It'd be so great to have some fresh blood, at least on one side of the bracket. If you had like a Bengals-Bills AFC championship game, that would be pretty cool, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like old school, like, Boomer Esiason and Jim Kelly.
And Jim Kelly, yeah. Exactly.
Who was the guy that shattered his ankle from Cincinnati, the offensive lineman? What was that guy's name? I can't remember. Somebody will put it up in the comments.
Offensive lineman that
remember back in the 80s, and he just
Munoz was their big
Anthony
guy.
Munoz.
Yeah, Munoz was the big guy, the Hall of Famer there. You realize that since I brought up Cincinnati, it was 31 years since they had an NFL playoff victory. Is that amazing or
31 years?
1991.
Holy cow. That's when I graduated high school. It makes me feel old.
I know. Yeah, I was in my prime.
Yeah.
1991.
Well, you still are, Harry.
Oh, jeez.
You didn't have any kids. What about the Ram game? Do you like the Rams in this one at all over Tampa Bay?
It depends.
My favorite.
I gotta have Fournette. I gotta know what's happening with him, and also Wirfs, the right tackle. He went out early in that game against Philadelphia, tried to come back, couldn't do it. But they're going to need him against that LA Ram front. I got to wait on that one and see. You let that marinate a little bit with some of the injury situations.
Okay, and I mean, great game coming up on Sunday at 6:30.
Yeah,
it's the Bills and the Chiefs. Big Red versus the former protege and Sean McDermott. Right now, the Chiefs are -113, Bills at -108, but getting 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually leaning a little more Bills here than I am Chiefs.
I know they look like a very dominant machine as far as their offense, and their defense is really good too. Their defense is very fast. They got great safeties on that team that make a lot of plays and can make things difficult. Their defensive line is playing really well, and that offense. I mean, that quarterback Josh Allen. They incorporated a lot more of just running with running backs now. In fact, they got 81 yards out of Singletary. In that game. If they can get that kind of production, you keep churning first downs and scoring points and keeping that other guy off the field.
Yeah,
number 15. I'm leaning that way too. I like the Bills getting the 2.
All right, I'm going to lock it in, Harry. I'll take the Bills with the 2. Yeah, we'll lock that in
with the toe.
Yeah, the toe. They have a toe and a 3. Yeah. Get the Parx Sportsbook app, because we're looking at it right here as we're doing the show. I mean, simple to use, great. No promo required. Just open up an account. First time, your first bet rather is risk-free up to $500. So make sure get in on the action. If you're using another service, switch over to it. It's a local company, so check it out. Parx Sportsbook app.
You can also do a same game in a parlay too now with the Parx Sportsbook app. Like you could take the Bills, plus the 2.5, and then take the over. Going to be probably a lot of points scored in that game. The total's 55. Bills in the over.
and you get a nice payout for it. You get same game parlays, player performances. It's all there. And make sure you check it out. And they're a great sponsor, and we love them. So give them a follow on Twitter at Parx Sportsbook. On Instagram, follow them there. Facebook and YouTube as well. You're a big Instagram guy, right? You're on the gram.
I'm not a big Instagram, but I am on the gram. Yeah.
Now, are you on the gram just for the pictures of all the Instagram models, Har? Is that the reason for the gram account?
Some have made that assumption. They might be correct. I don't know. Oh, but by the way, I think it was Tim Crumry.
Oh,
was the offensive lineman that shattered the ankle. We got to throw out a shout out to Mike Gill, the great Mike Gill, who's listening. And he texted that in. So Tim Crumry.
So Gill goes on at 2 down in Atlantic City. So we're giving him his pre-show.
He's looking for show content right now. Yes. So you gotta take it wherever you can get it.
Yeah, you listen on the way in.
That's right.
Gotta get you in. That's great. So make sure you follow Parx on all the channels as well, and this podcast and all the other content, and including Stick to Hockey Pod will be on there as well. Jody Shelley joining me on the program on Thursday.
Oh yeah,
former Flyer. Well, they're playing Columbus that night, and Jody's the television analyst for the Columbus Blue Jacket network, and it's the return of Jake Voracek after 1,000 games in the NHL.
Now, does he go by Shells? Like, what's the nickname for Jody Shelley?
I never went nickname with him. It probably is Shells, or it could be Shelley too. I mean, but I just call him Jody. He's a big boy. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
all those former tough guys are great guys.
Yeah, that was back when hockey was hockey.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the Flyers right now are just reeling big time. So
yeah, they really are. It's not a good time to talk pucks and sticks.
Yeah, I told the people on the podcast for today's episode for Flyers Daily, I said the only way you're going to remain sane is to change your expectations, because you're going to spin yourself into the concrete,
right?
Just constantly, because you got to change your expectation. You got to find what good can come out of a shit season.
Mm-hmm.
The young players, cutting their teeth and showing some signs. I don't know. You got to find something. But let me ask you about the Eagles. I got a couple things here when it comes to the Eagles. There, how much credit does Howie get for what took place this year? They had a much better season than a lot of people thought they were going to, myself included.
Yeah,
but let's be kind of real here. They didn't beat anybody worth a shit.
No, they didn't. I mean, they showed who they really were. I mean, what they did in the regular season was what they were in the playoffs. They took advantage of bad teams, bad quarterbacks, second string, third string guys, a practice squad guy, one week. And the defense could look really good on them. And they could even get out to slow starts, which they've done over the last month and a half, and survive against the New York Giants with Jake Fromm as the quarterback, or, Washington with Garrett Gilbert, who was signed a few days earlier from another team's practice squad. When you get in the playoffs, you're not facing that kind of opposition, much less they're facing the defending champs. So you knew they couldn't get down early. They did. They basically did everything they couldn't do if they were going to have a chance to win that game. And we all saw what happened. But Howie deserves some credit. Obviously, now with the Jalen Hurts situation, I don't think anybody ever thought it was going to result in this when the pick was made a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But he's a serviceable starting quarterback in the NFL who's trying to work his way into being the guy. And I think, he had the vision to take him, although I don't think he ever envisioned him as this guy. You got to give him some credit there. Devonte Smith is a really good player. I didn't think he was even utilized as much as he could have been this season. But he looks like a stud at wide receiver. Now you could say, well, yeah, 1 out of 3 strikes, because he tried with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round a few years ago. He's a bust. Jalen Reagor is an absolute bust. One of the worst players, I think, maybe in draftable history for the Philadelphia Eagles. When you think about where that guy was taken, and I know it's not his fault, it's the evaluator's fault, and that's Howie Roseman for that. But I mean, some of the offseason free agent acquisitions, Kerrigan I know he made 2 or 3 tackles in the game on Sunday, but I mean, he was a no-show throughout the season. Wilson, the linebacker, they had to let go midway through the season. We thought, maybe they would have found something there. I know he got Steven Nelson off the street, and that was a pretty good signing there. He deserves some credit, and he deserves, some not so good marks for what he did. It's kind of 50-50 if you ask me.
Yeah. The team did better than thought. And I guess part of the equation too is the evaluation of Nick Sirianni, who, I mean, all things considered, did a pretty good job, I would say.
Yeah, he did, but I was disappointed with the plan on in the playoff game. I still don't know what their offensive plan was. It almost looked like kind of like what Arizona looked like last night, where it's like, I don't really have any plan. Just let quarterback, let's go out and see if we can make some plays. Okay, we can't run the football because we're being defended in a different way. So let's just go try to make some plays. And they got nothing. And Arizona had nothing. And it makes it look really, really bad when you come up playing against really, the better competition. And your playmakers don't live up to it, and that's what happened to the Eagles.
Yeah, it's amazing. What do they do about the quarterback position? Because now, like, a lot of that conjecture is out there. I saw somebody on Twitter, somebody of prominence, put out there that the Eagles should trade their first 3 picks, those 3 first-round picks, and get a guy like Russell Wilson.
Daniel Jeremiah said that.
Yeah,
on the NFL Network. Yeah,
I mean, prior to the injury that Wilson dealt with the hand this year, I mean, he was having a great season. He's not cooked.
No,
but that's a huge price to pay for what is it? What 33, 34-year-old Wilson?
Yeah, it is. And who knows if he see, here's the thing. We all automatically assume that because they have these assets, which right now are 15, 16, and 19 in the first round, that they're going to be able to flip those and get a guy. Well, the guy's got to agree to come here. If you're a Russell Wilson, you can say, no, I don't really want to go there, or I'd rather go here. I mean, the New York Giants have 2 first-round picks that are very high up in the draft. The New York Jets, I believe, had 2 first-round picks that are very high up in the draft that are probably better assets than the 3 that the Eagles have.
Yeah.
I mean, would the Jets,
depending what you're trying to accomplish, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we automatically assume like, oh, yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers, he'd want to come here. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers wants to leave Green Bay, number one. And if he did, whether he'd want to come here or if Green Bay would want to ship him to the AFC. If they said, I can't live with this GM anymore, you got to get me out of here. Maybe they ship him to Denver or Las Vegas, depending on what Las Vegas does with now a new GM coming in, a new coach, and who knows what they do with their quarterback. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's going to happen here in the next couple of months leading up to the draft. I think there's going to be a lot of activity, and you think the rumor mill is big now. Just wait until we start getting into March and the, free agency and so forth. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, once the Lombardi Trophy's handed out, it's going to get bananas. And you got to wonder, like, is there going to be a fraction of people, like Eagle fans, that go, I don't want Aaron Rodgers because of the shit he said about vaccines and all that stuff.
And the Deshaun Watson stuff is, pretty obvious. I mean, that's a lightning rod situation there too. I mean, there's a lot of the fan base that really just wants to ride it out with Jalen Hurts. And I'm, right now I'm of that ilk. As far as, because I don't know that you're going to be able to get any of those veterans. And B, I don't see anybody in this draft worth trading up for to get. And I think you would have to trade up for any of the top 2 or 3 guys, because we sit here now and say, wow, well, those quarterbacks aren't high first-round picks. But by the time we get to April, they are.
Oh, they are.
They always get cooked up to the top. And Malik Willis, you'll get, Pickett from Pittsburgh, possibly this Carson Strong kid out of Nevada. And there might be another 1 or 2 that I'm not even thinking of right now.
Like the Mariota draft.
Right.
They find a way. They hire some PR agency to make it seem like they're the next great thing, and then they're hardly that when they get to the NFL. Is this it for Kelsey here?
I hope not. I mean,
he can still play.
He played at a really high level.
Yeah.
And is a Hall of Famer in my view. Made the Pro Bowl again this year, and I know the Pro Bowl might not be what it used to be, but still, add it to the other Pro Bowls that he's got. I hope they can keep him around because when you start thinking about it, that's the asset right now of this team is that offensive line. And I think they got a great left side of that line that is really going to grow and gel and become, tremendous in Dickerson and Mailata. I'd like to keep Kelsey in there for at least 1 more year and see if I can just get 17 more games out of him.
Yeah, I mean, you would have never known when they drafted him that he was going to be this much of a guy that integrated here just so incredibly perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about his personality, his honesty or what, but I mean, from the OD shirt that I think he wore 762 days straight.
Yeah.
Right. And just everything about him is so perfect for playing here. And we're going to look back when he is done, and he's going to be an all-timer like Doc.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I think a lot of it comes with the position, offensive lineman. There are
Yeah,
no
snot
divas.
knocker.
There are no divas on the offensive line.
And he's
They're
undersized. And
yeah, he's undersized.
yeah.
They're guys that are going to sit there and and sit there and drink 15 beers with you, at a tailgate. It's like those kind of like wearing a t-shirt, wearing some flip flops and cut off shorts. You know what I mean? Like he's just a regular dude.
Yeah, I have all the time in the world for a guy like Jason Kelce, and not because he's so Philly, but I just the way he is, just period, end of sentence, to me is what I love in athletes.
Yeah.
Real quick, I had I saw all the glee on social media with the Cowboys losing, and I get it. I get that you like to see Dallas lose, but to say that, hey, the Eagles lost, but the day's all fine because Dallas lost as well, to me is a little lame.
Yeah, it is. Although this was a year, I think the Dallas folks really thought they had a team that was going to be capable of getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 12
and
wins.
Now it's going to get a lot harder because now contracts come up and they're going to have to start paying some guys a lot of money, and they could have that cap issue. This was really a year where, it was there for them to see if they could get to a Super Bowl, and it ended really, I mean, you talk about disappointing. Yeah, winning the division, winning that many games, having the amount of talented players on that roster, and they lose a home game as a favorite to a San Francisco team that really some would debate wasn't even really that good of a playoff team.
Yeah,
but I thought the matchup was bad for them against San Francisco, the way the Niners like to play. But that head coach down in Dallas, I tell you what, he might be in trouble. Jera canceled his weekly radio show hit this week, and the last time apparently that he did that was the week they fired another coach. So that doesn't look good. And some of the comments he made after the game to the media sounded to me like, hey, when you got this kind of talent, you have to get results, and they didn't get results. And you know what that means.
Yeah, and Jera is not getting any younger.
Nope.
The team, it's amazing their lack of playoff success.
3 playoff wins in 25 years.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Think about the players they've had in those periods of time too.
I know. Yeah.
And it's almost like there's some kind of sports karma that's preventing them from having any. They haven't reached a championship game in forever.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It is.
We'll see what Jera decides to do down there. I could just hear him.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to do the radio. How would he not doing the radio hit, like informing the producer? Like, what would he say to the guy?
Hey, I'm not going to be able to make it today.
Yeah. 5 fingers deep into a bottle of Johnny Walker Black.
Exactly. It was Johnny Walker Blue. Yeah, the Black's that's not good enough. He likes the blue.
He's a bluesman.
Oh, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they go from here. We'll see where the Eagles go from here as well. There's a chance, I guess, they just cut Rieger at this point, right?
Rieger?
Yeah, Jalen Rieger.
There'd be a cap hit. I want to say it might be.
They're not averse to that,
$10 million, but they absorbed 34 with Carson Wentz and a franchise quarterback. So I think that makes Rieger very expendable, especially when you think about the lack of production. And it's just like the guy has zero confidence now. Now he's muffing punts, and when he fields punts, he's taking stupid routes and losing yardage. I mean, it's just there's no way that he should have stayed in that game fielding punts after he muffed that kick. That to me is, I don't care if Greg Ward has back spasms. He's better out there with a back spasm than that guy.
Yeah. To me, he's one of those guys that's, attached to losing in a lot of ways. And I don't know what to do. I mean, it was a horrible pick. We all know that.
Yeah.
Could you have more patience and maybe it pans out? I don't know. I mean, Aguilar went through something kind of similar, I guess, but less pronounced.
It's a horrible pick, and I'm not even talking about the guy who was picked afterwards.
Yeah,
it's a horrible pick based on how he has performed.
Yeah,
it's a joke. Exactly.
Let's read some podcast reviews.
All right, do we have them?
Yeah, I got them here in front of me. These are just from iTunes because I don't know how to check the other ones. I'll figure that out. But we have some. Let's read. So the first one comes in on December 7th. We must have just started at that point from Coach Ruff.
Okay.
Not Lindy Ruff, although it is spelled.
Love that guy.
Lindy at home and Ruff on the road, Har.
Oh man.
He's coaching the Devils now. It says destroys all radio, a 5-star review. He said, thank you guys for letting us wet our beaks once a week. Now these are all 5-star reviews. We don't have any shit reviews.
Yeah, we got to have some shit ones.
We don't have any shit reviews. Somebody leave us a shitty review, but 5 stars.
Right, but this is only off of iTunes now, right? There are other reviews maybe elsewhere because this podcast is available in a lot of different places, right?
Yeah, I mean we're broadcasting it right now, live streaming it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different places.
Wow.
My Facebook, Parx Facebook, the JM Media YouTube, the Parx YouTube, my Twitch account, which I don't even know if anybody even knows is there.
I didn't even know you had a Twitch.
I know. I have a Twitch.
Yeah.
I have a Twitch. So another one here, TD Zelik 619 said, been a fan of these guys for years, and I'll listen, watch whatever content they put out. Well, you're not getting much.
Nice.
He said, there's never a set agenda or script. It's just pure ad lib and great to listen to. 45 minutes of listening will seem like 15. It flies by because you're constantly laughing. All right.
Nice.
Readerson left us a review.
No.
He said, sounding good, brothers. And then he said, 5-star review. And he put a quote right at the beginning. He said, you a podcastman, Bo? And he said, great to hear you guys back together again. Free to talk about whatever you want to. That's the reason why we did it, just because we had no boss.
Right.
I've had enough of the bosses.
Yeah. Although I like the boss once again, now that he's not the boss. I can't actually get enough of him.
Really?
Yeah.
You've unmuted him on Twitter?
I unmuted him. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. C-Doc said, God, middays with these two was the best. Wish these were longer. Well, how long are we supposed to go in a podcast?
Hey, man, I only have so much left in the tank.
Yeah. And he said, and Def don't need guests all the time. I enjoy the job. Guest banter even more.
Right. Well, I agree with that. I mean, I do appreciate some of the guests, but I'll tell you, the guests are hard to get.
Yeah.
They're hard to get.
Look, we're going to do some guests, and we're going to do one coming up with Tommy Conwell, which I can't wait for. I know you're a Tommy Conwell fan as well, Har. And, we're going to do a music-centric. He's going to play on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Which is going to be – I can't wait to see him play a little – I don't know if I think we get him to plug in the telly into that Fender solid-state amp and play a little I'm Not Your Man, Har. I'm not looking for a hero.
Not tubes?
No, it's a solid state that he plays, I think, usually. But he plays that old chopped-up telly.
I love that.
And it just sounds – and he's a great guitar player.
Oh, he is. He's a great stageman. He's great on stage, man. He's a showman.
Like, have you listened to that song in a while? I'm Not Your Man?
The last time I listened to it, he actually performed it live right in front of me. This was at one of those Hoagie Fests with Hall & Oates.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Tommy Conwell and the Young Rumblers were on one of the side stages earlier in the afternoon, and I was right there in the front. Yeah. And he was incredible.
Yeah, and he does the talk up in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
And he totally, I think I remember him telling the story one time. He totally riffed that.
Oh, yeah? Ad-lib?
Yeah, ad-lib that in the studio. But you listen to that song, that song's a hit. It just has a great hook.
Right.
The structure, it's a great song, and he's a great musician, so we'll get him on. Philly fan AFS said, great pod, Bo. A lot of people with the bow.
Yeah, saw that.
And he says, Myrtetus with the impersonations always has me dying, especially the old boss. Got to get him in. So he wants Nahagian on the show too, but Nahagian gave us the hand.
Well, yeah, I know. He's not coming on. He's I've forgotten about him.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, it's all right. You only get one invite. That's it.
When the greatest thing when he was the boss, he would wait till you left the station to fire you off an email.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'd been sitting outside of his office for 25 minutes post-show.
Like Bruno was doing the post-show.
Right. Answering emails or, doing whatever, maybe doing something for the sales department, whatever it was. I'm right there. And he wouldn't come talk to us or me. And then I'd leave and I'd tell everybody, I'll see you tomorrow. And he'd hear that. Is he gone? And then as soon as he realized I was gone, I'm in the car. Boom. Here comes an email with
your email notification. You got mail, huh?
Right. I'm like, I was just there.
You got to get a ringtone from Bruno that says, let's go to the phones, huh?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
What is going on? Like, look in the chat right now.
Yeah.
I mentioned, Facebook and that we're on Parx and all these different things, and all the different outlets that we're broadcasting to all said thank you for some reason at the same time. Like, see, it says I commented from Facebook, thank you.
Right.
Well, like, what is that? I didn't do that.
Well, I wrote in thank you, but it doesn't say my name. It just says all these. They all popped up after I said thank you. I was thanking Colin Berger for checking in, and Adam Gleekus says fire Chuck.
Okay, so because it's hooked up to all those, it said thank you from all.
I guess, yeah. Okay,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we're learning as we're going here.
Well, I mean, like, I'm getting ready to do the show today, and I'm looking through some stuff, and every friggin' website I go on is got me in their freaking funnel, right? Because my phone's listening to me again. And it gives you that suggested advertising based on some conversation you had about a Husqvarna chainsaw.
Right.
So I see these ads non-stop. I can't stand this shit. Like, I've had enough of it. I don't need to see the same ad over and over for a Warby Parker pair of reading glasses. Because I mentioned reading glasses. And my wife heard me.
My wife actually wouldn't be upset if it was Warby Parker reading glasses or a Husqvarna chainsaw. She gets a little annoyed at the things that show up on my feed.
Oh yeah,
and I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Good job. So those are the reviews. People can leave the Odgies podcast a review. By the way, if you're trying to find it, there's another podcast out there called Odgies.
Odgies.
And I guess it's in relation to the show Fargo.
Oh, okay.
So it's Odgies. So it's like making it difficult to find Odgies.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a Fargo podcast. It's a Fargo recap podcast. And
haven't we had enough of freaking Fargo with Carson Wentz? I'm done with Fargo.
You're done with North Dakota.
Yeah, I'm done with North Dakota. Seriously.
So if you want to find it like on iTunes or whatever, it's hashtag AHJEEZ.
Right.
That's how you find it. Leave us a rating and review. And you can leave us a 5-star rating and trash us in the review.
Right.
And we'll read it here on the actual episode. Those were way too kind.
91 LSXers checks in. He gets the show. Warby Parker, not Juquay Parker. Remember Juquay Parker?
Yes. That's a great one. You know who we got to get on, Harris? Speaking of guests, though.
Who's that?
We got to get on Eunice.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can get him on. Yeah.
Hey, Godfather Locks.
Godfather Locks.
Have you talked to him in a while?
Not in a while. The last time I talked to him was I got him on when I was working with Tony on the Sirius show during that 4-month
the short-lived show,
the limited run. It was a limited run,
limited engagement,
limited engagement radio is what that was. It was sort of like Sirius does that with all these other channels. They'll have like Billy Joel radio on, and they'll put it on the vinyl deep cuts channel or whatever. But it's only there for 3 weeks, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Poof, it's gone.
Yeah. Limited engagement. They do that with Metallica radio from time to time.
Right,
I'll listen to it nonstop, and then it disappears, and I'm like, God, that's ridiculous. Now I'm back on the Grateful Dead channel or whatever. The one I don't make it to is the Underground Garage, the Bruce channel.
Oh yeah,
I'm not a Bruceman, so
no, I know. Yeah, I'm out on him too.
Stephen Muldoon says, got to get the Colonel on a Saturday. Hey. How about Conklin's impression with the? Is he good? I don't know. I love that. So mad.
So spot on. It was perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Well, we do need to check in from the recliner.
Yeah, but he needs a better signal. I mean, every time we do something with him, the signal stinks.
Yeah, maybe we should do a live show somewhere.
We should.
And we could get him out there. Yeah, we could do it at the Parx podcast studio. Maybe we, once things kind of loosen up here a little bit in the next, maybe spring and March, we do a little live show at a tavern or something like that. The guys from Wildfire, Jim and those guys come out, set us up.
Oh yeah,
all the technical equipment, and we do a little road show edition, Harris.
Sure,
maybe the Gentleman's Club.
Hey, in the champagne room, is that where we're going?
You're exactly right. But yeah, we'll do that. We got to do a road show and get out with the people.
Yeah, we do.
Boom Bap says, sorry about your birds, but tried warning you guys. I don't think you needed to warn us.
Yeah, I knew they weren't going to win. I just thought they'd be somewhat competitive, and that's where I'm really disappointed. I mean, they had nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
This guy says, Ash says, nice sweater on the pond.
Oh, yeah, you wearing a sweater.
Did you see that?
The hockey sweater. I did see that.
Yeah, I had I broke out my old school. This isn't even an Arizona
It's the Coyotes, right?
It's a Phoenix Coyotes jersey, though, when they were still the Phoenix Coyotes. I'll put it up here on the screen.
Was it Tkachuk?
Yeah, Keith Tkachuk.
Keith Tkachuk.
It's the captain jersey, number 9 that he had. I'll put it up here. Hold on, let me see. I got to share this.
Yeah, I actually like that photo.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good jersey, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
So I'm going to share it here so people can see it. I mean, it's a hideous jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore it one day when I was working with Mikey Miss, and he was like, Jesus, what is that?
Yeah, the color scheme is very strange. It's I guess it's very desert, southwestern
Aztecian.
Yeah.
So there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
That is hideous.
It's like a dark green, right? With the...
Yeah, it's black, and on the shoulders is that green, and then like the dark Merlot.
Yeah.
But it's a busy jersey, but it's a good-looking sweater.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a good-looking. So people were giving me shit. They're like, look at your ankles. Are you a bender? And I'm like, well, because my ankles are turned in. Now, these are goalie skates, Harry.
Okay.
And with goalie skates, they're actually pitched. So the blades aren't straight like, let me put our picture back. Let me get rid of the screen share. Goalie skates are not pitched normal like regular skates, like straight up and down. They're pitched like this now, so that when you're down in a butterfly, you can grab an angle to grab bite.
Oh, okay.
And it feels a lot more comfortable when you roll the ankle over like that.
Right.
A bender is when they go out. That's what we call a guy who can't skate because he's got weak ankles.
Oh, okay.
That's a bender.
All right.
In hockey parlance. But no, that's every goalie. Look at them. That's the way they stand because it's more comfortable on your ankles.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. The people the people aren't as well versed on this as you are. So, you got to answer their questions. They're not trying to rip you. They're just trying to find out more information.
No, they were trying to rip me.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, but one guy spotted the can of Copenhagen in the pocket.
Well, of course. Yeah. Now, do you have that circle, that worn-in circle? That will always be there. No? Yeah, that was always attractive.
Like in the jeans?
Yeah.
That?
It's always a good look.
It was always a way to find, like, if you didn't have a can of chew on you at the bar, you saw that circle, you go, dude, can I bum one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't think that's deaf on the women, too. They see that, too, and they're like, that guy's mouth tastes like a trash can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right, Harry. That's how you keep the heifers away.
Whoa!
Oh, that was bold strategy.
Wow.
It was awesome that me and my son and one of his teammates got out on the pond on Sunday because it's actually cold enough for a sustained period of time to be able to go out.
Right.
My buddy of mine, Matty Wendell, texted me the night before. He's like, hey, we're going to be out tomorrow morning at 9:30 at the pond over in Pleasant Grove by my house. Come on out. We didn't go out at 9:30, but we went out later in the afternoon, cold out there, and getting to skate on the pond was awesome.
Nice. I was out on the golf course last Friday.
Is that right?
And I might go out tomorrow. It's saying it's going to be like 45 tomorrow. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
45 and you're out there golfing.
Absolutely, man.
Boom Bap goes, ow, 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 Bender. I didn't even bag her, huh? Oh, jeez. And then 91L6er says, spying men's asses for sources of dip. Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. Got to do what you got to do. Yeah. You have anything else you'd like to say here on the podcast, Harry?
No, I think I'm pretty much talked out. It was a laborious show today with Barrett leading into this.
Oh, you had to carry him today? Is he in mourning a bit?
A little bit. After now it's really settled in that the Eagles season is over. It's sort of like that. Now what?
I was watching a little bit of Eagles post-game live, and they had Barrett across the way at his own desk.
Yeah, he sits like 30 feet away from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Seth Joyner, I'll tell you.
Oh, that's great.
How did we do the show with him and he not just absolutely kicked the living shit out of me?
You remember? Well, you guys got into it with that the forward lateral thing with
Seattle.
Russell Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a little contentious, to say the least. But how serious is Seth, man, when he talks about the Eagles, man? That was like really serious stuff.
Yeah. And he, when he tweets in all caps, like I can just see his face when he's fired that tweet.
Oh, yeah.
About the run game and everything else.
Yeah.
That day.
If I had $1 for every Eagles fan that has either said something to me in person or shown up on a chat or a tweet saying they want Seth Joyner as the next defensive coordinator, I'd be able to buy a nice new, golf bag.
Yeah, well, you'd be on a yacht in the French Riviera. He is so serious. When we got into it that day, he just wasn't understanding the laws of physics, that it moved backwards. And you gave me no help at all.
Of course
You're over there with a big wooden spoon stirring the pot. And I'm going, Harry, bail me out here. I need 2-on-1 against Seth. He's a former all-pro linebacker, and you're giving me no support, even when we went to the break.
I got nothing.
And he's like inches from me and across the room from you. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
How help you are.
Yeah, that's right.
I could have used you on that one day when Anthony and I got into it.
When was that?
Oh, when I was doing the show with Anthony after you left one day, he ran a caller in like 15 seconds. That he didn't agree with or something. And he's talking after it. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he kind of admitted that he ran the guy a little quick. And I said, yeah, you got, and I pointed out, I said, yeah, you certainly got rid of him quick or something. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, you didn't let him get his point out, because he disagreed with him. And, you know how Anthony is. Yeah. Some of these older guys doing radio, they feel this need to have to be right. Who gives a shit if you're right? So we get into it on the air a little bit. And I say, I'll tell you what, let's go to break, because I could tell it was getting really heated. So we go to break and I have a live read. So I do the live read and he's just standing there and he is fucking stewing.
Fuming. Yeah.
Like snot coming out of his nose. Sounds like Tony Soprano at Melfi's office breathing, right?
Right.
And like he's asthmatic. And I go to the break and we are going at it.
Wow.
I thought he was going to just body slam me. And eventually I texted him and I was like, dude, you got to get it together.
Yeah.
You got to get together, Bo.
Was that about the process failing?
Probably.
Says 91 LSXers.
The one day he comes in, the Sixers beat that Chinese team and Simmons shot a 3 or something.
Oh, yeah.
In an exhibition. Yeah. And I came in and we started the show. I said, oh, I'm winded. He goes, why? I go, I was running late today. I had to put my lawn chairs out on Broad Street. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I mean, they're going to be a parade now, right? Because they beat the Chinese team. What do you mean, Bo? Like, he was so pissed that I was like shitting on the fact that they beat the Chinese national team.
Yeah, it's amazing to take that personally. It's funny.
Well, the team still hasn't gotten past the second round.
No, I know.
Is the cleaning lady there yet, huh?
Yeah, just walked in. I heard him. Yeah.
So you got a man cleaning?
No, it's a Romanian crew.
Oh, so you heard as in the group. Okay.
Right.
They come in, do a whole nice job on the homestead.
Oh yeah. Every 2 weeks.
That's what we do as well.
Yeah.
Clean the toilets and all the bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Puts my wife in a better mood.
Hey, happy wife, happy life.
Exactly right.
Speaking of happiness, that's winning sports bets. And Harry, you had a couple plays for this weekend. If you want to get those, go back and rewind the episode. But get the Parx Sportsbook app because it's great. It's easy to use. Harry and I use it, and no promo required. Just deposit and you lose your first bet, risk-free up to $500. Not a bad deal.
Yeah, the play was Cincinnati, by the way, plus the 3.5.
Yeah, and then I locked in the other game with Buffalo at plus 2.
Yeah, right. Plus 2. Yep.
And the Flyers back in action tonight.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, boy.
It's hard to beat a team 2 days in a row in sports. In these
the Islander.
Yeah, and they're not even a great team this year. But this Flyers team, I don't know. I'm not picking any side on the game. That tells you how I feel about it.
Oh, they're plus 1.5 goals. They're minus 240 at Parx.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's plus down with the that puck line or whatever. But the regular line, I'm trying to see here. Was it plus 175? No, that's not that. No, the money line, they're actually plus 108.
All right, so pretty much
plus 108. Money. Yeah.
Boom Bap 75 says, Jay, is Evan finally old enough to drive that Nissan he used to endorse?
Oh, yeah.
When he started, Mikey Mish was like, what do you mean your son's going to drive? He's 8. He's 15 now.
Is that right?
Yeah, the boy's 15.
This is Evan Myrtetus.
Yeah. Hi, this is Evan Myrtetus. And then he did the commercial with Fletcher Cox.
Oh.
The old take on the on Mean Joe Green throwing the jersey to the kid and he threw the car keys. the Nissan to
awesome.
heaven. Yeah. All right. That's a wrap on this episode of the OGs podcast. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes or whatever you get this. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Harry, have a good one, man.
Hey, you too.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Parx Sportsbook presents OGs.